Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. We're also gonna change
lugar
the
para
kickstand
trabajar.
now, guys. Alright, let's
Si
take a
no hay
quick look at
peligro.
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. We're also gonna change the
lugar para
kickstand
trabajar.
now, guys. Alright, let's
Si
take a
no hay
quick look at
peligro.
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. We're also gonna change the
lugar para
kickstand
trabajar.
now, guys. Alright, let's
Si
take a
no hay
quick look at
peligro.
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. We're also gonna change the
lugar para
kickstand
trabajar.
now, guys. Alright, let's
Si
take a
no hay
quick look at
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes.
What's good? Mike is in the building. Oh my goodness, look at that. Almost forgot my mic, people. We can't do that. You guys are gonna have to have that good sound. What's good? Mike is in the building. Welcome to another Freestyle Sunday. Super excited for tonight. First of all, I swapped out my lens because I've noticed one thing, man. Your boy is looking a little bit chunky on the other lens, and you know we can't have that. Gotta stay sexy for the ladies, know what I mean? So look a little bit more streamlined, know what I mean? Very excited for tonight, guys. Hopefully you guys join the conversation and actually take part of this, because this is kind of really cool. It's what we always talk about when we talk about the Freestyle Sunday live stream / podcast. It's about the people, about you, about people's experience. And we have Solo Rider on tonight, and I think his approach of him being in the stream is gonna be really dope. He's not on YouTube, he's not big on Instagram, and that's not to say that's not important, but it's the impact that we're having as a small community when we do these streams, like him seeing our song last episode, him getting inspired to actually getting on camera while he's writing. So we're seeing this birthing a couple of interesting characters. And he also has some great stories to talk about here. Even him rocking a GSX 600, I think he kind of maybe totaled. So that's one thing that we'll talk about, and him witnessing the birth and death of multiple YouTubers and getting a better understanding as to why these things are happening, all based off our conversations. So Just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's tuning in tonight. As usual, we're going to do what we do best, guys. Right? 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 Exactly. We're going to do that. We got to give a big shout out to our sponsors that shows love and support to the channel. And the first and only, Motivation USA is one of the first places I always talk about because they show love and support to myself, my wife, my family, help me feed my family and my motorcycle addiction. All right, where you can get all your parts, accessories, pretty much anything that you might need, guys. I know you see a lot of Ducati parts when it comes to my channel, but I could tell you now, you can get anything for your S1000RR, Triumph, Speed Triple, Street Triple, KTM Super, whatever you ride, these guys can get parts out to you ASAP, guys. As you can see, I'm looking at these because this is something new that they don't even, well, here's the funny story. They didn't necessarily even carry this component we're looking at. This is a gas cap for my Hypermotard 939 SP. After requesting it, talking to the team at Motivation, they actually added to the site and got it for me for my own bike. And that means you guys can actually get that now. So again, those things are really dope. And I don't sell anything. I don't market anything to anyone when it comes to like motorcycles or anything like that. But if you want to support the channel, you want to show love and support and help us grow over here on this side of the street, this is the way you're going to want to do it. Hit the link in the description. All right. Show some love when you're shopping for your parts and accessories. We get something out of it. The company gets something out of it. And we continue having great guests on and have conversation every Sunday night at 8 Eastern Standard Time. Let's get it. Man, I did that kind of smooth tonight, man. I think I might be a little bit on the roll tonight, man. Usually, I'm either somewhat sweating and kind of rushing towards everything, but I'm feeling good tonight, man. I feel good because the pressure's a little bit on the low end kind of things. But we also have to give a shout out to Hard Knocks Coffee, guys. Really, really excited to have them be part of the channel. For several reasons. One, it's owned by a rider itself. They provide coffee for MotoGP, and of course, we have to show love. If you want to get stickers, coffee, for some of you hipsters out there. Yeah, I got to look into the camera when I go, for some of you hipsters out there. You can get it, candles, stickers, and stuff. It's always a great way to support what we do here on the channel, what we do at Motivation, Hard Knocks Coffee, guys. Hit the links in the description. Last week, I think it was a little bit softer side. Based on when we saw the traffic, at least when I observed it, was a little bit on the light side. Let's make things different. This week, hit that link. Definitely shop, show love, and support. Hard Knocks Coffee, Motivation USA. That's what we want to do. All right. So back to business, guys. We're going to do what we do always. We always meet and greet everyone that comes through and show love and support to the stream. We're going to start things off right. Going to start populating people right on the screen. Let's go. Let's see what we got. There we are. Give me a second, boys. I'm just going to set this up real quick. You guys know. Oh, look at that. Got all that on the screen. Sorry, my bad, my bad. It's a lot we got going on, guys. So hang tight. There we go. By the way, the reason why you guys saw that quick little snap that showed the overlay, I have everything pre-programmed into multiple buttons that I kind of work through. Sometimes I'm doing it freehand, so you get to see some stuff like this does happen. There we go. We got my man Tasson. Good evening, peeps. Another Sunday and solo note. 4 more days until we are officially done with August. Thank God, because I'm over the daily raining. Dude, you're the first person that I've seen complaining about August. Listen, I'm going to take as much heat as possible because what tends to happen out here in New York, you know the deal. Snow, slush, and then it looks like poop on the floor. So I'm going to take the heat and do what we do. Life with Anna B's in the building. Wife is always around showing love and support. That's always a good look. Ducati family with the super chat. Always appreciate it, man. Those things goes a long way, guys. From lights behind me, cameras, better lens, everything we're seeing. If I could only do an overlay to show you guys what I'm working with here, it's like a whole setup, just so you understand where we're coming from. So everything means quite a bit. We have Steven Turner's in the building. What's good, sir? Governor D Nice, another regular. Good looks for tuning in. I doubt they have anything for 1982 Honda GL 500. So that's a great thing that you just mentioned. They might not have what you need, but when you do call, you could always ask to speak with Jacob. He's one of the managers over there. Let him know what you're looking for, the kind of bike that you ride. These guys tend to make things super easy, and I love sending traffic their way because, again, not only they support me, they're just great overall, man. I mean, even outside of me doing YouTube, outside of me doing business deals with them, I've always shopped with them. I've always gotten stuff with them before, and from there it just flourished to something else. So I can strongly stand behind whatever they do, and if you're looking for something, they will find it. Let's see what we got. Got a couple more. We got Futuristic Viper. What's good? I got my Melody. I'm ready. All right. Oh, man. Always great seeing everybody come through, man. Slowly we're getting more and more people coming through. By the way, guys, let me know if you guys are getting notification when my videos go live. For some strange reason, my shorts are doing very well. As you guys know, I'm revamping the channel and bringing it back after a two year plus hiatus. So things are a little bit rougher to kind of get the ball rolling and get views running, but it's all good. It doesn't bother me. I understand it's like starting from scratch. But I have a feeling some people are not getting notifications. So let me know if you guys are getting notifications. So that would be something that's helpful that I could look into. But for now, let's bring Solo Rider 82 on, guys. We have a lot to talk about tonight, and I think his conversation should be fun, should be interesting. Sir, I'm going to give you the floor just so you can introduce yourself, and we can get this conversation started, man. Do you want me to refer to you as your real name or just Solo Rider? That's always a good thing to say.
Real name will be Steve. Very simple.
Damn, son. My man said I'm Steve, son.
Yeah, but on social media, I go under Solo Rider 82. Mainly because normally I ride solo for the most part. I'm new here to Atlanta. I don't really quite know tons of people. So most of the time I commute to work when I'm riding or the weekend to kind of escape, enjoy, you know, the feeling of freedom or whatnot. Originally from Haiti, been in the U.S. for the majority of my life. Live in Miami the bigger portion since I've been in the U.S. and to work out to relocate to several states, be Miami, Dallas, and now pretty much Atlanta. So I think this is permanent, I believe. And yeah, I'm glad to be in the channel. I'm glad that you invited me and be here to meet you, meet the bike fam or whatnot. So looking forward to it.
So I'm just going to quickly mention this here. I don't know if you know what's dope about the stream. We bring all walks of life. Everybody that comes through have a conversation. I don't know if you knew, but Jack B. Quick is Haitian also.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of cool. So I love how things always come together, and it's such a small world, and really dope to kind of have somebody like yourself to come through and show love, to be honest, man. So we have a lot to talk about tonight, man. We started talking a little bit earlier, just kind of get the conversation rolling and kind of talk. I always like to bring people on a little bit before the stream because, again, when we're talking about doing a stream, people get a little nervous and things change. So it's always a good thing. So I know you got two bikes and you ended up grabbing a Hyper. My man, yo, you smiling man hard, man. Yeah, I love it, man. You know what it is? Like I was telling you a little bit earlier, what was dope? Somebody's riding. That was a Jigsaw that probably passed some, or maybe a inline 4 bike for sure, 100%. What is dope about the stream, man? I think I really value and appreciate the fact that, you know, it's a small world, you know. Everybody enjoys their ride and in the community a little bit different. You're not a YouTuber, you're not a moto vlogger, at least not yet or anything like that, but you're slowly, you know, inching your way towards it, or at least seeing the ins and out before even getting your feet wet through the stream, right? Would you agree?
Yes, most definitely. Something I always thought about doing for quite some time, but I've always had multiple questions in terms of not just the revenue side of it, but why is it that so many people that used to do it suddenly just stop altogether? That was something that I was like, well, is this worth it? Also, when you become public as well, what is that like? Because it's almost kind of like you're taking a portion of your life public. People can be receptive. Some people can also be very, you know, harsh in many ways. So there was a lot of things that throughout listening to the stream, different people that actually are in the business to kind of get feedback from them, like the pros and cons. Like I was saying, like when you were talking to Downshift 83 about the amount of hours you spent editing, that was something that never crossed my mind when I'm enjoying those videos out out there. And then it's like spending 6, 7 hours editing videos for YouTube, and you normally don't get the revenue that comes out of it. It's not really worth it. So you're doing just because you're passionate about it, pretty much. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because, for example, today my wife and I, we hung out and kind of chill. Usually I kind of ride. Sundays have slowly become a day where I don't ride my motorcycle anymore because I'm mainly dedicating Sundays for the stream because, again, prep work, the people, pre-interview, or at least having to do research. And I was finding that when I did have the opportunity to kind of do the stream and then ride, I was kind of not struggling per se, but what was happening, I was at the very last minute, you know, I'm just like turning the lights on, I'm sweating, I'm wiping my face, and I have to like woo-saw everything, and then just like have this yeah, so it became a lot. So now Sundays became like a thing where, you know, in the morning I would go to like farmer's market with my wife or whatever, and maybe brunch or dinner. After that, I'm like right back to like the grind, getting information to people and being ready. And these are some of the backseat people don't see. And to kind of talk in regards to what you're talking about, on our way home today, she was like, what's going on with that documentary you're doing of roll racing? And we did the primary cut of that, and that was like hours of footage. We're talking about gigs and gigs and gigs of footage. The primary timeline is pretty much done. Looking for the B-rolls, organizing everything. All this taking so much time. And again, when you upload something like this on YouTube, it's not something that's guaranteed to be extremely successful until you're already very successful. But these are more like passion projects for me and really highlighting people. I feel like one of the things that's key to me, to this channel, is really highlighting other people, not making it about just myself kind of thing. So, but you get used to it.
And I think that's what makes your channel very special, very unique, though. Because a lot of channels out there, they have their specific market niche, you know, whether they focus on the bike itself or working on bikes, fixing bikes, or maybe, you know, the races and things like that. Your channel, I feel like it kind of brings everything together, meaning you get all these folks and you kind of bring the human aspect of it, because we see them, let's say, racing or working on a bike, building something, but we don't really know the person, what gets them to what gets them so passionate about these things. But when they come to the stream, they talk to us, you kind of understand what got into the motorcycle life or whatnot. Or could be something from father to son, or something that they just passionate about, something that kind of, you know what I mean, something different that we all kind of have, regardless of the reason we ride, but we have one thing in common: we're very, very passionate about it. So that to me is something that your channel is very unique. I do believe if it keeps going like that, I'm hoping one day it's big enough where you know, these guys from, regardless from Europe, MotoGP, whatever race industry, pretty much, when they come to America, they get to interview with you, and by you getting access to them, we in Tail get access to these folks as well, understand where they come from, what got them into certain limelight, certain business, you know, a certain career or whatnot. So that's something that I think is very, very unique in your sense.
Yeah, it's an interesting take, man. I mean, it's really, really difficult. And to be honest, one of the main reasons that the stream kind of came about, it was for two main reasons. One being in New York, I have to factor in, if you want a successful channel, you have to kind of be through and through regarding content, or at least uploading with a frequency base that works, or at least quantity now seems to be a very big thing. And I was like, you know what? My wife and I, we brainstorm all the time. I always put her in it because whatever that I'm doing, she's very supportive as part of it. And we try to tackle it all together. You know what I mean? So I was brainstorming, and I'm like, I think this would be a great opportunity to really get to know certain people, like behind the scenes. For, you know, I always, because I'm from the era of your Baker X Derrick, you have Suburban Delinquent, you have the Downshift 83. A lot of people never really showed who they were. And me being, you know, black, in the very beginning, I didn't show myself. People didn't know who I was. And I always thought to myself, maybe people might not relate to me, because let's be real. The majority of moto vlogging until current time was mainly all white guys. That was like the demographic, really. So it was a very few that we had that was like a little bit different, or maybe Asian, or we're talking about, yeah, that was mainly the thing. So, and I thought to myself, it's a good time, man. I think people could kind of get to know one another, at least exchange stories, or at least humanize them. That's the exact word that I thought to myself as well, right?
Yes, and it is perfect. It's very, very perfect, because you understand their story, what got them into doing it, some of the struggle they actually went through, like with the interview you did with Downshift 83, like being in the military, certain things, you know, that could have cost him his career, the reason he never showed his face. That was certain things that I never thought about, actually. And when he went over that, I was like, oh, moly, I never thought that something like that, you see somebody doing cool things on video, and you're not thinking about that could have cost him his entire career, in many ways. But to me, the most important thing is, regardless of which aspect of writing that somebody favor, when they come here, they get to express their passion about it, what they like. Even when you had Red Spade, Laura, Stella, or whatnot, because even for women, they're very new into this industry as well. And quite frankly, in many other sports out there, it's easy for them to kind of feel like, you know, they're like forgotten. Nobody really pay attention to their sport.
Yeah.
And the fact that you give them a panel to come in and talk, and, you know, kind of you're like trying to bring it into the guys' world in many ways, if that makes sense, or whatnot, or for the guys to get exposure to their channel, exactly who they are, why they're so passionate about writing, and things of that nature, different challenges as well that they face throughout the industry, and different areas that favor them. As well. So to me, in many ways, I feel like there's a major plus for anyone, regardless if you're already big or if you're somebody that's actually started. Because I learned quite a lot listening to the stream, and to know exactly certain things that probably were mistakes for others when they were starting. So at least for me, when I'm going in, I kind of have that advantage of knowing, you know, certain mistakes not to make. Like, for example, when I think one stream I even asked you about, like, if I should get a GoPro or the Instant 360, and you went over the benefit of, you know, one over the other, certain challenges that one present. Like, these are things, that little gem that, you know, you dropped, and I was like, okay, so I know not to spend my money there if I'm trying to do this, and invest here more so. So it's very, very positive.
Well, the other thing too, this is very much of an open platform for everyone. We try to share as much information when we're talking about vlogging, cameras, everything. And this is the space for it. You know, you have a question, or, because like I said, for me, there was a time when I started doing videos, there was a lot of stuff that I knew ahead of people, or at least doing ahead of people. And I mean, this is pretty, okay, so let me just start this over again. I just want to kind of explain this a little bit clearer. So when I first started doing videos, all right, there was a couple of channels that were doing like super high-end quality stuff, that was doing trick transitions or stuff like that, or gathering audio the certain way to really hear the bikes. I mean, you could go back through maybe a couple of years back, you'll hear the audio, because people will say to me all the time, how do you get the bike to sound right? How do you get, you know, some of these things I was doing. And my mistake that I made, I didn't make my platform a place where I shared this information. I think I suffered from the fear of, hey, if I teach everyone what I'm doing or whatever, it might hurt my chances, which is completely not true at all. And I guess it's one of those things over time that you start understanding that's not how things is going to work. That's not going to be the best outcome. So this is why, again, here in this area where we're doing the Freestyle Sundays or something like that, I know on the moto vlogs or when I'm shooting videos, those are more entertaining aspects. But here, this is more of a live conversation. Questions, if you want to ask something, as truthful as possible, as much information I want to give. That doesn't take away from my audience or someone watching me. And this is one of those things over time with growth and stuff like that, you start understanding it. You know, somebody watches Solo Rider 82. Doesn't mean they're not going to watch me. My style is different. My story is going to be different. Entertainment value is going to be different. Sharing the tools on how to get the best outcome, that's a whole other thing. You know what I mean? I think I was influenced by certain groups where I was like, nah, maybe not. But yeah, that was one of my things, man. And we don't do that. At least I don't do that anymore. I don't think it's the right thing.
Yeah, most definitely. To me, that's why I think to me there's great value into it. And when somebody gets your channel, you also present a different aspect of riding as well. Unfortunately, motorcycles, like riders, normally we tend to have a bad reputation. You know, we're out on the road causing havoc, trouble, speeding, things like that. But when you're vlogging and you're just riding throughout New York as well, you're just a casual rider. Where to me, I think I fall more under. I'm not the type that normally goes 200 miles. You know, I respect it. You know, it takes a lot of skills and things like that. I admire. I like to watch those things and stuff, but I don't think my expertise per se would allow me to do this kind of stuff and still be safe or whatnot.
Sorry about that. I was reading the page as you were talking, but I am listening though. It's one of those multitasking kind of thing. But yeah, man, it's a great place to be. I think what we do, it's a really cool thing. Now, I'm gonna ask you, man. Right now, you currently have 2 bikes. You have the Hyper Motard, right? And then you also have a BMW S1000RR. Walk us through those. And I know you had a Gixxer 600, right?
Well, the first bike I had was a Gixxer 600. That one ended up getting stolen when I was living in Miami. Something that was very similar to what Sasson was expressing. I was in an apartment complex. It was gated. In the middle of the night, somebody came in, picked it up, and stole it. After that one, I ended up buying a GSXR 1000. That's the one I had quite a while. And I had a very, very bad wreck when I was in Texas. Another area too that actually was very, the stream that you had with Red Spade. I think she went over her wreck as well, and that was something I could relate to as well. And after I wrecked that bike, I pretty much said I wasn't gonna get it on 2 wheels anymore. So for about 4.5 years, I was like, yeah, you know, because my mom was against it, my family was always against it. And after that one, I was like, you know, maybe they're right. As much as I enjoy this, I literally saw myself, because I had a high side. And you know the feeling in like the Matrix when the time stops, everything in slow motion.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That's real when your life flashes in front of you. To me, that's the best way I can describe it. I'm sure for the people that's bystander, they probably just saw me fly and just hit the ground. But in my mind, time just froze. I had time to think. How am I gonna absorb this? You know, this thing, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just know you're gonna hit at that angle, and there's nothing you can do. So after that, I was kind of, you know, I think maybe my parents are right, maybe my friends are correct. You know, this is not worth it. I remember the lady from the insurance called me while I was still in the hospital bed, asking me if I'm gonna buy another one, and I pretty much flipped like, "Woman, you crazy?"
Wow.
Yo, I'm sitting here in bed and stuff. I got the neck brace and all that good stuff. Couldn't turn my neck on the left for like a few months. So it wasn't, it wasn't pleasant. And when I moved here to Atlanta, actually, one of my neighbors, Eric, older gentleman, I think he must be in the late 50s. He got 3 bikes, and he told me about a few wrecks that he had. Like broke his rib. I mean, like really, really bad stuff. And he still goes to the track, he still rides. And I said, for the first time in my life, it made me think, because I'm the kind of person, I never like people tell me what I cannot do.
Okay.
Because actually, when I was a kid, I had a little incident that kind of left me with some neurological problems. And my doctor, everybody told me no motorcycle, nothing that's like physical contact. And I never wanted to feel like a cripple. So I always said, no, I'm going to go for it. You know, this is something I'm passionate about. I'm going to try it. You know, skydiving, anything they told me not to do, I actually ended up doing it, and things like that. So, so something within me just said, like, this is not like you. You know, you kind of got defeated that for 4 years, something you like. Every time I see a bike, I always look, you know, but you just kind of give up on it. So one day, I remember it was a weekend, I was on the website for one of the dealership here, and I saw the S1000. And I literally Uber there, and I walked in, and I told the sales guy, "Hey, you got 30 minutes to do this paperwork and get me out of here. Because the longer I'm here, the more I might be thinking that this is not such a great idea." And then yeah, I bought it, and it's been about a year now, I believe, a little bit over a year now. Yeah, so that's how I kind of got back onto, and I'm glad I did.
So can you? I know this is probably something that's a little bit traumatic, man. It sounds like you're probably one of the people that's experienced a down or a wreck. You know what it is? I try not to be very, because people tend to phrase things a little friendly, like a down or a wreck or something. I like to say crash. That way we face the darkness. Just face it. Because, you know, when you try to soften things up sometimes,
Yeah.
you kind of soften the blow of what it was. So can you walk us through that high side and some of the injuries? What happened? Was it something that was on your end, or was it on the driver's end, or was this like one of those things that was like a perfect storm? You know, you were going too fast and they cut you. One of those two things, and
Yeah.
the basically the journey to going back to actually riding again too.
Well, it was completely mine. Number one, it was cold. It was around December, if I remember correctly. It was about 36 degrees. So there was no reason for me to be taking this thing out. And number two, I was leaning. It was a kind of a turn. I was just leaning, and there was some gravel that I didn't see till the last minute. And then the back tire lost traction. And then when it kind of grabbed traction again, that's when the bike just kind of threw me off. And I just flew um, easily 10, 15 feet away or something. The bike was total or whatnot. I didn't break anything, but I had the neck brace, and then I had my left hand as well. I couldn't really close my fist for about a few months, but luckily I had nothing that was really, really major. The only thing for me about that experience was, and even till today when I'm riding, every time I'm leaning, especially on the right, it's like I have that flashback, like, God, remember last time, you know? And that's something I'm always conscious about. It's funny because now when I'm leaning on the left, it's no problem. But every time I lean on the right, I'm always, you know, the kind of, you have that unease feeling or whatnot about it, because I just remember that was exactly what happened. And then doesn't matter how confident you are. That's what I think it was too, because I've never had a bad wreck prior. And because that day it was very cold. There was really no reason for me. I just missed, you know, riding. And then I said, you know what, let me take it out today. And as I'm leaving work, I'm going home for lunch real quick. And then, yeah, it just happened.
I think that's something that we all could probably share a similar experience. I think being in the East Coast when it snows and it's really cold, at least for me, one thing that plays into my favor is that when it's cold, I'm not one of those people that want to be out. You know, so even if I miss the bikes and I miss riding, and one of the beauty, at least for someone like myself, I'm not saying that everyone has the same privilege or anything like that. When I do miss riding, or I feel like, oh man, it's cold, I'd like to be out there, and I always remember in myself, like, I'm opening up the chance, I'm rolling the dice on a higher stake of something going on wrong. So I get a chance I could go sit in the garage, hang out, and just kind of chill, clean the bikes, and just, you'll find these small little therapeutic things will kind of burn off the fire of going out there when there's salt, or because I've seen so many friends encounter similar situations where it's like, it's winter, there's a fluke day that it's 59 degrees. Everyone and their mom is like, wah, just wilding outside. You could hear it passing, and I'm like, nah,
No.
because the excitement, the level of happiness that you know that it's 60 degrees out in the middle of winter, you could actually ride your bike. Open up, like I said, the chances of something going on wrong because of the excitement, the adrenaline. It's almost like I have this whole thing about motorcycles. Whenever I buy a bike myself, brand new or whatever, when I was younger, used or whatever, I never rode the bike from the dealer. I know a lot of people do that. Like, you know, they're excited. I never ride a brand new bike out the dealership. I'm getting a bike. Here's the payment. In the clause, my bike has to be delivered to my home, and they have to go over the bike with me when they get to my house. Because I feel like in those time frames, that's when the most mistakes can happen. You're not used to the bike. You're not accustomed to the seating position yet. You're not fully versed with the clutch or the ABS, whatever's turned on. And I ride my bike for about like 40 to 80 miles from my home, like locally, just to get the feel and the jitters and everything else. Just one of those things just to negate risk. There's nothing more hurtful in your chest that you just bought something brand new and you did. You know, when you make a mistake, like a mistake that you would not normally make. I'm not talking about like if you crash your bike, that's different. Something stupid like I slipped on salt. Knowing it's winter, knowing you shouldn't have been riding a bike, knowing there's no reason for this to happen in the middle of winter.
Yes.
You can't forgive yourself for it. You know what I mean?
You pointed exactly right. Because that's what exactly, every time I go back to that date, I said it was 37 degrees. Why did I do this?
You can't forgive it, right?
And I know I had the hitch. It was a while that I couldn't ride it, and I said, you know what, today's not so bad. Let me, let me take it real quick. So I do, and I'm glad you said that too, because when I got the S1000, all my other bikes, the 600 and the GXS 1000, I rode them from the dealership to my house. It's always been a principle of mine to do so. The 1000, I was still nervous that I told them, I needed to be delivered to my house. It sat in my garage for like a week. I kept looking at it. And then one day, I just said, okay, let me ride it around and see if this was a good idea or not. And then fair enough, I didn't forget anything. Everything just came back to me, and then and that was it. And after watching your Hyper, you were riding a Hyper quite a while too. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. And I said, I've always had sport bikes. Let me get one of those. This is very different. Or whatnot. And what's funny too? I was never a fan of Ducati. These guys, they owe you a bike. They owe you a bike too. Because the thing with Ducati, I was never a fan actually, but because that MotoGP sound, you know what I mean? I was never a fan of it. I was always a fan of that Gixxer, with that
inline.
Yeah, I've always liked that sound. And by watching your channel with the Monster and then later on the Hyper, I'm like, you know what? I need to get one of those. You got me used to, like, I understand why people say Ducatis have a certain personality to them now. But for many years, when people say Ducati, I'm like, nah, it's just boring. It just sounds like one of those GP bikes, or whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I'll tell you now, the one thing that's super, super tricky about these bikes, and I'm glad that you mentioned this about the sound, getting used to it and hearing it. I think when we talk about Ducati or Aprilia or even the Triumph, those bikes have very unique characteristics, and it's hard to convey what they really sound like. And the trick here, I just might as well kind of give this one out while we're here. 1 second. While we're here, might as well just do this. Give me a second, guys. So what I did prior for my first year or two, when you motovlog, when you're riding the bike, you have the mic wired into your helmet, and you could tell your story, yada yada. It either isolate everything outside, where it could hear your voice very well pronounced, which is a very good thing. But then when it tends to happen, you have a very floaty feel, and it doesn't connect the visuals, your vocals, and then the actual machine you're on. So what I was doing very, very early on, I used to wire my bikes with a third-party, recorder to actually just capture just the bike itself. So post-production, getting home after riding and shooting whatever vlog I shot, I would pull off my actual vocals, the video, of course. If I had multiple angles, I would have all of them. I'd have another layer where it would be just the bike sound. Now you have to make sure it's recorded just right. If not, it's gonna be blown out. After you pass 0, it's blown out, it's garbage. Below -3, you're safe. and you got to make sure you can't get any wind into it. So from there, you have to levitate between your voice and then the bike sound just enough. It doesn't, and if you do it just right, what tends to happen, you watch the video, you're like, damn, that bike sounds good. If you miss it by a notch, you're like, what the fuck am I listening to? It's all grumble, or it's all sound, but it's just like an art to it, really. It's one of those things. Let me show you my recorder that I use. I've had like 3 different. Let me show you. Hold on, one sec. Actually, I'll give you the screen as I grab this. Let me see here.
Sorry. Another thing.
Sorry.
I'm kind of glad we're talking about also because another thing too with a lot of bikers, they don't like to talk about when they wreck. And to me, as much as you don't want to bring any negativity around you, it's something that you either know someone that already did, and sometimes those can be very, very, some terrible ones, So it's always good to at least be aware, be mindful of things. So like you said, so you don't make certain decisions, even though when you have that hitch or you really want to go out there, and this is not smart, and things like that. So I'm glad at least we even talk about, because I know a lot of time we don't want to think about that kind of stuff.
So here's the thing, guys. Sorry, I thought I had the recorder in my bag. It's not. It's upstairs on the 2nd floor of the house, but how do you call it? I'll definitely grab it before the stream ends, and then I know I have like 3 of them. I have one that was bigger. It was like XLR one. I went to super high definition. Then I went with a slim one. It's like a very thin iPhone or something like that. But one of those is perfect if you want to record the audio on the outside. But just kind of talk about what you were just talking about. I think it's very good that we do talk about some of the mishaps that happen when it's on the road. As I was saying a little bit earlier about people softening the blow, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to say anything about it. I used to have that feeling too, as if you're jinxing yourself. But I think being honest with yourself about the risk and what could happen and really facing it face front, like head on, you can take precautions. It's like for me, it's like the same thing I just mentioned a little bit earlier about not riding the bike in the winter. It's just because I've seen a lot of people try to shame using a shaming tactic. Oh, you're not a real rider. You're not 365 days. Oh, I go out in the cold. I go out in the snow. That's great. That's great for you. That works well. I don't judge anyone on how they enjoy their own motorcycle, how they enjoy themselves on the road. Me personally, the way I love riding motorcycles is it's an adventure. You know what I mean? And my wife and I would jump on it. We go, a couple of 100 miles out. Go to a restaurant or something like that. If I'm on my own, I'm doing like canyon carving or something like that. That's fine. But I never hold it against anyone, whatever you choose to do with your own motorcycles. For me, I choose my own safety and what works best for me. And I know the way I ride. See, the thing is, I ride, when I get on my bike and I'm fully comfortable and I like, I'm feeling myself. The day has to be right, even if it was like a cloudy day, it's just like not my thing. Nice and sunny, it just feels right, and it just feels like perfect for me to be out there on the road. And that's how I do it. And I keep myself, I don't psych myself. I don't hear the people talking about, you're not a real rider. You ride, this amount of time in the week, only on Saturday. Listen, man. Whatever works for me and it keeps me safe, that's what I do.
Yeah, and even when you went to Austin, and you were you were watching the races and everything, and I'm thinking of some of your videos, you even said it. You're like, yeah, this is not up to my level. You recognize that. It's the same thing to me too. I appreciate it. I love watching those SmackDowns, but I know my skill level is not there. When these guys are doing 190, 200 miles an hour, I'm like, sometimes even when I get to triple digit and I feel like the crosswind, I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to
that fear, right? That fear strikes, right? That's what I was telling people. And at some point I felt a little not insignificant, but like, when you're in a space with everyone and it's normal to them and it's not normal to you.
Yeah. And
that small little fear factor to me, I'm like, holy shit, maybe am I the one that's the abnormality here? because as soon as I'm like 168, I'm like, wow, that's not for me. And you know, I'm assuming if something I do daily, I'm doing it with a bunch of people, there's a lot of adrenaline, I'll get very used to it. And for me, I don't think I want to get used to it. Because I think at some point you get used to it, it becomes normal, and then what's next?
I think it takes a specific kind of person to me, number one, mentally, for that to get there. Number two, not only mentally in terms of the sport level, but also in terms of the consequences. Like for example, for me, I think when I was in my some of those things, it would have been easier for me to do it when I was in my 20s, because that's when I felt like I thought I was invincible. Now I'm in my 40s, I think differently. I think about the consequences and things of that nature. So I think my mindset, that was another thing too, like as we're talking about this, because like I'm a big fan of Rossi. And I remember later to his career, like, you know, Marcus, all these guys, I was like, what's going on with them? But then now I understand, as you get older, you start thinking, as you start certain wrecks and stuff, you start seeing, you know, the other side of things.
Yeah.
So there's certain risks that he probably used to take when he was younger that now he's older, you know, and I think Marquez is kind of going to that transition right now too.
Yeah.
Because he's not the same like he was.
You noticed that too?
Yeah.
I've noticed that with Marquez too.
Yes, and I think it's once you wreck, I think it's something that makes you think, and if it doesn't, it's not a good thing, because it's you know, you're just gonna end up being there again. And I think even the most professional riders, they go through the same thing as well. Something that wakes them up that says, okay, you know what, this was, you know, this could have went really sour and things of that nature. That's why for me, I say I appreciate the skill, the tenacity, the mental game that's in it. But I know myself, not only I don't have the skill level to keep up with them, because I know once I get to triple digit, any little crosswind, man, I'm like, I need to tone it down a notch, you know, and things.
Well, I don't think it's, you know, like I've noticed the same thing too with Marquez. I think in the beginning, Marquez was fearless. And I think what makes somebody like a amazing GP rider, at least based on watching the races and seeing it live. Because for example, when I was out in Texas, I was watching MotoGP with the motivation team guys. And what was clear to them, and everyone said the same thing, everyone was like, yo, Marquez is fearless. There's two things that's going to happen. Either he's going to crash out the race because he's pushing this level so hard. You know, watching everyone. And the funny thing is, everything that they said was kind of true. Either Marquez is going to win the race or he's going to crash out. There is two potential for someone like this when you're amazing. It's almost like Michael Jordan or something, or LeBron, or you're talking about Kobe Bryant. He's going to take that last shot and win, or he's going to take the last shot or lose. There's no in between.
Yeah.
No in between. I think what happened is after certain life experiences or certain experience you're having overall, mentally you start seeing the in-betweens.
Yeah.
And then that could either slow you down a little bit, or your reaction time a little bit, or you might be different. Because Marquez, like you said, he's perfectly in that transition, which I think for him it's happening way earlier, because it took Rossi a long time before he got to that state of mind where it's like...
Yes, I think for Rossi it was after, I think he broke his legs or something. It was something like that. After that wreck was when, because he was out for a while, and I think that's when I noticed he was different.
Hey, get out of here. Sorry, it's my doggy.
Sure.
She's taking my equipment. She's like, this is my home office. So anytime I have any like tools or like dead cat or microphone thing, she's trying to take it and stuff like that. So go ahead, you can talk.
Yeah, I think for Rossi it was after he had a nasty accident. I think he had messed up either one or both his legs, if I remember correctly. And that was when I noticed that he started changing. He wasn't as aggressive as he used to be in many ways. And for Marquez, I knew it was going to be a matter of time as well, because if you keep going the way he does, like taking unnecessary risk on a day-to-day basis, eventually, you know, that it catches up to you. It's pretty much the formula for everybody. But on the street level, for me, though, I do respect these guys, and on the entertainment level or sport level, to see what they do with these bikes, even on a mechanical level as well, too. Like, they're stripping these things down, and I'm learning quite a lot about what they can do with these machines, or whatnot, and you know, and still have fun. That's the other thing too. That's very important, because it's kind of like a certain culture that's very still positive. It's all about safety, or whatnot as well. Again, certain things that I feel like a lot of people that do not ride, oftentimes they attribute bikers in a negative aspect. You know, even in television, movies, like we're always the one that's just causing trouble and things like that. I think through your channel and through many other channels out there too, they present like the human life. It's just normal people that just enjoy riding or enjoy the sport, as well or whatnot.
Sorry, I was jumping there for a second, but yeah.
Yeah. Question though, what got you to get the Hyper?
So that's a really good story. Also, I wanted to talk to you about riding with gear. Also, since we were talking about Marquez and Rossi and stuff like that, and your crash, so it's something we'll definitely backtrack to. Don't let me forget. So I was looking for a solution for the channel. I wanted to have a motorcycle that I could ride during the winter. Again, now we talk about like riding when the season's not great. So I thought to myself, I'm gonna build a supermoto. I'm gonna either get a WR250 or 450, and I'll have something that you could dump it or whatever. It'd be great to ride through the neighborhood. You know, all the white people are probably gonna call the cops on me, but that's a joke, guys. Calm down. Everyone's extra sensitive. But I thought it'd be a great opportunity to have a bike that I could ride during the winter, because the bike that I have and the bikes you have, most people have really nice bikes, and you don't want to dump those bikes. You know what I mean? So I thought, hey, let me look for a dirt bike or something like that. And long story short, I go to a dealership, and when I go to the dealership, the manager and the owner are like, hey, you're the motivation guy, you know. I'm like, okay. So I'm always very subtle. So here's the thing, one thing that I do, and I personally like being modest and being very, you know, low-key about things. I'm not like, hey man, I do YouTube, blah blah blah. I don't like doing those. Show up with my money, do business and walk out. And if somebody figure like, oh, this is this person that was here, fine, no problem. So they immediately like, oh, you're the motivation guy, blah, blah, blah. I was seeing you on YouTube, and we play you on the shop, because all shops tend to have like TVs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what I'm looking for. I need like a WR250 or 450, and see if you could find this bike for me. And of course, I'm at a Ducati dealership. I'm used to certain people. I see them. This is what I need. Can you find it? Make it happen. I'll come through and come pick up the bike. And they go, no, we're gonna do something better for you. And of course they tell me about the owner of motivation and stuff like that, and it's like, hey, yeah, those are the same people we work with, and everything kind of tie. And they go, hey man, what do you want to pick in the dealership? We'll make it happen. I know that's kind of crazy story, right? Might as well say it here. And again, a gem here on the stream. And everything lined up right with the channel. This is when my channel was peaking and doing really well, and a lot of my videos are getting tons of views and stuff. They're like, get what you need, we'll take very good care of you. We know these group of people, we know you from the channel and stuff. Dude, I'm gonna be real, I got that bike so dirt cheap that it was one of those mafia things, like it was an offer you can't refuse. So I ended up walking with the Hyper, which I love the bike. The problem here is now I got another nice bike that I intended to go in the snow and then do wheelies, do burnouts, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it this bike. But then again, now I got another nice bike. So you know, the bike was super cheap. It was like I bought like a cheap Yamaha. You know what I mean? So yeah. It ended up working out well, and then I brought them more business. I drove so much traffic to them in regards to like them being very helpful to me and knowing. And again, our industry is so small. You know, we're talking about, you know, motivations out in Texas. We're talking about here in New York, and they, you know, Ducati New York in Manhattan buys parts from, like, it's such a small business. And here's another key thing here, guys. If you want to join this industry, this business, mind your P's and Q's, because you saying, fuck you solo rider, could mean the end of everything. You don't know who's who, and everyone knows one another, guys. Take my word on this. Even when I had Black Moses on, everyone knows. I'm in MotoGP. I'm like walking through things. I look in the paddocks where the $1 million motorcycles, you're talking about Marc Marquez, you're talking about all of the big racers. He's in the paddock, and this guy was on the stream here chopping it up with us. You don't know who's who. It's a very small industry. Just be mindful what you say or what you do. And you never know, man. You do things the right way, things can happen, just like the Hyper. So the Hyper kind of somewhat fell on my lap, and it was a blessing. I really loved the bike, and I enjoyed it a lot. And like I said, it was super, super cheap. So, you know, I don't think I'll ever get a deal like this. Even, you know, maybe through a sponsorship where I get a completely free bike, maybe. But it ended up working out well. That's my story with the Hyper, and then now I'm completely fallen in love with the bike. And there are things that I dislike about this bike too, which we can cover if you want to know.
No, same thing. It's not perfect, but it's definitely unique, and it's the best for what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
This is the way I would put it. I would definitely put it. I think to me that the same way I would say when it comes to 650, I think BMW should give him the newer model every year. Because I think a lot of people buy BMWs because of his channel with the build-up series. It's the same thing with you. You had a build-up series with your Monster, and you started working on the Hyper. You didn't really finish on that one. But at least when it comes to Ducati, that's what caught me there. Because I didn't know, like, your Monster had the way that thing sounds, my goodness. I even wanted to buy one. The only problem is I didn't quite like the newer model. I think that year that you have, not just the sound, but the body, it has a certain characteristic to it. You know, that's why I didn't get it. But to me, that's what got me into Ducatis, because prior to that, I've always felt like they strictly had that GP sound. And I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. I want something that remind me more of the streets. And, you know, I don't know, like with the Gixxer, you can pull your Shimura pipe, you could have put a Jardine pipe on there, and it gives you a different sound. But you're the one that got me to start looking at the Ducatis a certain way. So I think when it comes to your channel, regardless if it's the Monster, the Hyper, even the Street Fighter as well, because you did a lot of custom work to it that kind of made me feel like, you know, I never thought about that bike.
I got some stuff on the Street Fighter, man. I mean, I've shot a bunch of videos again, and that's the sucky part about doing this kind of somewhat full-time for myself, and then doing it as a business with motivation, and then doing like brand deals and stuff like. That's the one thing that's tough, because I've gotten so many cool things I already shot, and of course they're gonna be coming out as time go by. For example, Ilmberger carbon fiber. I got a bunch. Like the Street Fighter is like dripped out, just carbon already. So that's gonna be kind of cool to kind of show people and how they could work on stuff like that. But it's something that is tough to kind of deal with when you're doing those, because I think one of the things that's awesome, actually I couldn't say awesome, I shouldn't say that, because if I'm talking regarding myself, which is about the channel, there's still areas of opportunity and things that we can do better. Things that about my channel that's kind of tough, just like how you like the fact the Monster's there, the Hyper, the Street Fighter in, and I'm gonna get probably 2 more bikes. The problem I have is I don't think a lot of people connect when they see it's Ducati, because someone else, like a more tenured person, mentioned to me how most of the bikes that I have tend to be a little bit of dream motorcycles, and a lot of people don't feel they connect to that because they're like they're a little bit more far-fetched for people. Like if I had an R1 or something like that, or something that's a little bit more normal, like people feel more relatable to that. So someone was telling me that it's possible that might hurt my channel a little bit. And I've been thinking about that too.
No, I think to me, you make the average person get more in tune with those kind of bikes that normally have a reputation of being the Ferrari of motorcycles, you know, because like I said, for somebody like me who's not, you know, was just an average guy, who, you know, like they never had a good reputation for me until I'm starting watching how you're working on them, the kind of stuff. I didn't know you could do all these things with those bikes. to me, it was just like, wait, it sounds like a GP bike. I'm not interested. That was anything somebody would have told me. It was like, yeah, I'm not interested. It just sounds like these things that I'm not interested. But when I see, you know, different type of exhaust you had, and I think especially on the Monster, I think you switched, if I remember correctly, you switched it at least 3 times. I think you had the
I think
SP,
3 or 4 times.
something. So that's what got me. I started like, oh, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this, you know, that kind of thing. So that even I think the color at one point was black, and you had the white covers. That's what I'm saying. It kind of made me see that, oh, the same thing you can do on a Japanese bike, they have stuff you can do over there. Because for me, when I was younger, what I used to see when it comes to Ducatis, it was always an older guy, you know, who has money, probably never put more than 5,000 miles in this thing, that has it in his garage, just as a more of a statement kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when I see your channel, I'm kind of like, oh, number one, I didn't know we could do all these things to it. And number two, price-wise, it makes me start looking more deeper into it. It's like, oh, well, maybe I cannot get the top level, but I can get the bottom, you know, the medium level motorcycle or something like that. So to me, that's how I would probably see it the most. It's the same thing I say when it comes to 650's channel with the BMW build-up series that he has. You know, I was strictly a Gixxer fan, you know, and then I start seeing all this stuff he's doing with his, and I'm like, oh wow, you know, this bike looks good. And you know, even though I didn't get a newer model because I like that first gen, you know, that look. But he's the guy that made me start looking at them, to be honest. I was always Gixxer 600, 1000. I probably would end up getting another 1000, something of that nature. But those are the key things I think. I think that's what makes the YouTube community, what you're doing and whatnot, very, very important, because the average person who's not a MotoGP fan, or, you know, like, because Rossi to me was the one that put Yamaha on the map. But now that he no longer he's not racing anymore, those new guys, I don't feel like they're that as known as the Rossi's generation in many ways. So I think now is like YouTubers, things that actually, people that can put this bike on, you know, on display for us to see exactly what can be done, how you can customize them, how fast they can go, you know, with the SmackDown videos and things like that. Or even the bike culture. It's no longer, oh, you're a Ducati guy, you're a Beamer guy, a Suzuki guy. You see everybody just come together and just enjoying the ride or whatnot. So in that aspect of things, to me, I think that's why I think your channel brought, at least to me, is how I could see it. Yeah.
You know one of my overall idea regarding Ducati. So two things. So I dreamt of owning a Ducati for a very long time. I was like in high school and stuff, and I used to go downtown Manhattan. I go to Soho, and I would see them, and I'm like, I gotta have one of those. And I was doing an internship, you know what I mean, through school. I would go there on my lunch break, see it, and it's like, it was always one of those things. But then, you know, when you're younger, you just like something. It's like your poster bike or something like that in your room. And as I started getting older and started diving into like trying to get it, and people are saying, oh, there's this issue with this costs this amount of money. And I thought to myself, this would be a great opportunity to kind of tell the story of what it's like to have one of those, what it's like to maintain it. And one of the biggest conversation was, oh, Ducatis would have oil leaks. And that's not to say that they don't. I always advise people, if you are going to get like a used bike or an older bike, try to get a bike between 2012 and up. Nothing lower than that. You don't need something that's super dated, that you're going to struggle for parts, or you have to go on eBay or something. Not that there's anything wrong with going on eBay. I'm just saying, have a little bit of peace of mind. And I wanted to document that and show people, hey, you could do your own brake pads. You could do your oil change. You could do the up map. You just take a little bit of homework, and come to find out, even myself struggled with this for a very long time, that there weren't any people sharing knowledge regarding what they know about that brand. Like, you would look for a Gixxer, how to tighten the chain. And the weird thing is, as I'm going through this, you have a single-sided swing arm Monster or a 1098 or whatever. It is the easiest thing to work on. Now, it's like a catch-22. Single-sided swing arm, you undo the 2 bolts at the top, and then you have a span, you rotate it, the chain is tightened. It's like magic. And there is nothing that's easier than it. Now, the catch-22 is, you need that spanner. that spinner is not a regular thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and things have gotten better because Ducati has gotten a little bit more clout, winning a lot more races. You have people like Motivation and other places that carry Span. You could buy like $40 or $30. But that's where some of the issues, like certain things were easy, some stuff like on the Monster, showing that a lot of people are like, well, it's very expensive for you to do the valves. The Monster didn't have, you know, a bunch of valves in them. Anyway, you know, we're talking about just a few to see if the shims are off a line or whatever to do. But the thing here is, I did my own oil change. A lot of people didn't know, oh, you could do your own oil changes. Everyone's Ducati is gonna be like $3,000 for an oil. That's not true. That's those things you could do. And I'm like, hey, also look how easy you could change your paint scheme on the bike. It's like taking the panels off. There are so many little cool tidbits that were going unnoticed because they just weren't the place to be. And I'm like, this is a great time. I could show some of this stuff. And I really thought that my platform would have taken off over that because it wasn't a thing. Because during that time frame, the bike everyone was riding was a R6 or a Kawasaki ZX6R. That was the starter pack for motovlogging. Everyone had a R6 or a ZX6R. They'd get like an old one and just like, you know, put an exhaust on it, and that was the thing. And I'm like, listen, man, I've always been a guy that like Tron, you know what I mean? I like a naked bike that, you know, the ladies could see the engine. And it was what I had like this whole concept in my head of what I thought was like the coolest thing ever. And granted, you know, I've said this even with my wife, I'm like, I never bought a single one of my motorcycles for YouTube. I bought what I was passionate about, what I always wanted. I think 2023 is going to be probably the first motorcycle I actually buy for YouTube particularly, because if you want to grow into the business or whatever, if that's your business, you're going to have to kind of follow through some stuff. And I enjoyed it so much that, you know, I kept all the bikes in it, and from there it just cascaded into me getting more and more of the brand. And then fortunately it's getting easier to maintain. They're not as bad in terms of costs. They don't break down as people were saying as before and stuff. So, you know, hence here we are.
Yeah. Do you think though, if you didn't do it that way, the channel, everything would have been as kosher? Meaning you enjoy it, you enjoy working on the bike? Because if you get something that
my dog always have to be in the stream at least once. Come on, say what's up. Okay, calm down. All right, get out of here. Every stream she has to jump on me. No. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying, like, do you think everything would have been as kosher? Meaning you enjoyed working on the bikes, you enjoy riding the bikes. If you get something strictly for the channel, now it's no longer your favorite. You don't have that excitement. If that makes sense. What do you think?
Well, so here's the thing. Man, that's a great question. I never even thought about it. Because here's the thing. In the YouTube game, in the YouTube space, for example, I'm gonna use a Fastlane D as this example. I watched one of his videos today. Oh, by the way, I want to ask you your top 3 motovloggers. I did my top 3 motovloggers. A couple of these. Damn, I'm like all over the place, and I want to talk about everything, of course, because it's like we're having a conversation over coffee, dude. That's what I love about doing this. So, for example, with Fastlane D, he just got his Ducati back. Right, he had some issues with it, and it was rebuilt. And if you watch this video very careful, there's always great gems when you watch some of the amazing motovloggers that's out there, like a Fastlane or Killer Cam, stuff like that. There's always little gems that you could learn and pick up from. He mentioned, should he sell the bike or not, or should he keep it? And if you notice a pattern with Fastlane, certain bikes he keeps, like for example the R1, the old R1 he kept it because those things tend to drive a lot of traffic, a lot of eyeballs, a lot of views. Those are just like the, you know, any 18 to 23-year-old, they all know an R6 and an R1. That's like the bike. Like they're gonna quickly search. Nobody's searching for Ducati Superleggera or Ducati like Hypermotard. You have to be like someone that's really into motorcycles to understand where that falls in terms of levels. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And he said to himself, like, should he sell the Ducati? And he said specifically, this bike does not get enough views. So if you're picking up game here, yes, he loves the motorcycle. Should he keep it in terms of business? Like he was saying that maybe certain bikes are going to drive a little bit more. And if you notice pattern-wise, he had a Husqvarna, he had a Harley Davidson. What other bike he had? He had another bike as well, which they all were great bikes. He enjoyed them immensely. Same energy, same performance, but they weren't driving traffic as needed. And right now he's currently at 90,000 subs, and he's hitting the R1 hard, and that's what's driving. Not all of it, but a lot of it plays a big role in terms of tagging that, or at least most of that age demographic. Hey, go over there, sweetie. Call her.
Maybe it's me. I'm thinking about it. There's two things when I look at his channel. Number one, the energy that he brings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the from the beginning of the video when he starts, you know, let's go, baby. You know, it's already.
Yes, sir.
Whatever's gonna happen. I think also too when it comes to the R1, what I would say I noticed with his channel, there's certain activities he'll do on the R1, he won't do on the Ducati. So when he's gonna be popping wheelies,
he's on the R1, right?
He does it mostly on the R1.
See, you're picking up the gems. You're seeing certain things.
Yeah, and I understand it. You know, that's probably for him. Like that's not that bike that he's like, you know. And I think he mentioned that was I think it was Downshift 83's bike too.
Yes.
At one point, so it might have that history for him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a little bit more careful, you know.
Yeah.
That bike. So I don't know if it's because the people appreciate one bike more than another. It's just there's certain things he does with one bike more than another. At least in my eyes is what I kind of see it. Because I see him do way more speeding and wheelies on the R1 versus the Ducati. And actually, at Ducati, in many ways, I thought at one point I thought that thing was jinxed because I was like, keep breaking down so many times.
It's tough. His story with the Ducati is a little bit on the tough side. Again, I could speak to it. You know, I own a couple of them. I've only had one major issue with my Monster, and it wasn't like a failure on the bike itself. After I did a little bit of research, my starter motor died. Like this bike, that was my daily. I was riding the bike daily. I'm talking about my longest trip with the Monster was 680 miles. We went almost to another state, just like cruising around. My starter motor was dying, so basically on and off during bike, on and off. You know, there's only a certain amount of time you could do that, and hundreds of thousands of time before. So to the point where I had to bump start the bike sometime, and that was easy. You know, I was so used to the bike, like I would run with it and then just jump on it, and right when I jump on it, I just crank it. It just goes. It still rode. The bike was just like perfect. So I ended up taking it to the shop to it was a girl. She's her name is Carrie. She's like a really dope certified Ducati technician. She just like only Ducatis and stuff. And she got me a new starter motor. Worked on the bike till this very day. The bike has no issues. I changed the oil. I do the spark plugs every season. The bike never stopped running. When I did my major service on the Monster, it was only 2 shims that was out of whack. And I ride that bike hard. I redline it. I ride it a lot. The bike's air cooled, and it still works perfectly fine. No leaks, no issues at all. Oh, I also had I had a leaky fork also, which got done as well. But again, we're talking that bike has 33,000 miles on it.
Wow.
33,000 miles and going, and still works, no problem, starts every time, no hiccup. But then it's just like from wear and tear or anything I had, it was never anything that just failed.
Wow. How do you deal with the heat though, especially during
Keep
the
it
summer?
moving, baby. Fast. Keep it moving. I'll tell you a fun Ducati story I have. I'm coming from Bear Mountain. You don't know where Bear Mountain is because you're not from New York, but Bear Mountain is like maybe an hour and a half outside of New York, is where people go do canyon carving and just big sweepers. I get a rock in my oil cooler.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I'm talking about maybe almost Catskills. I'm out really far, and we're just like rocking. I don't realize there's damage. There's no oil or anything like that. We're riding hard. I'm talking about triple digits. We're just going far, far. I get maybe 20 minutes from my house, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go get just get some food and stuff. And we went to this very popular burger joint. It's like super good. And I pull over, and I'm like, what the hell is that? What's going on? And it was oil leaking. Like, it wasn't leaking bad. It was just like small. You know, when it's your personal bike, you can spot the smallest thing. It wasn't like leaking where you could see a puddle. But I'm like, I touched it, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And come to find out, it was my oil cooler that got damaged. I guess because there was like no, I didn't, for some reason, I guess kept using the bike. And it was kind of my fault because the Motivation had sent me the cover for it. And I never put it on. I'm just like chilling. But the bike made it back home almost 2 hours. No problem. There was no damage caused. There was still plenty of oil in the bike. And the downside, I had to wait like 2 weeks to get that oil cooler from Italy.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And that too. I think the radiator guard, both my jigsters, I never had it on there until I watched your channel and you said, please put this on there. Yeah, and you guys, you made me think about it because both my jigsters I never did. I just did the exhaust system and that was it. Yeah. You're the one that really said that. I was like, yeah, I saw that in that motivation channel. Maybe it's
that's one of the worst things to bust out of your bike, especially if you have a super bike. What tended to happen on the Monster was an easy one. You know, I took off the little shrouds on the side. You know, I disconnected and then put the new one on and put new oil. Fine. On a super bike like your S1000RR or anything else, minimum you might be spending $1,000. That's not including buying the radiator. Because what happened is they have to take the whole bike apart. So
yeah, that's why I think you're lucky. You work on your own stuff. I'm not good mechanically at all. I always take it to a guy at the shop that I know, and they just take care of me. I say, yeah, like cosmetic stuff, you know, outside, you know, fine, but engine work, I don't mess with that too much. Oil change is easy too, but anything like when I got the exhaust for the S1000, I was like, yeah, I'm taking it over there. Not just to put it, I need to get the correct map for it as well, all that good stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna screw this up. This is not really my area. But I enjoyed watching when you were doing I think you're putting the exhaust on the Street Fighter.
Oh my God! Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. You know how many people that's reached out to me asking me to pay me to do this job for them?
Well, you had a video where there was smoke coming out. I was like, oh my God. I said, oh God. That was
a troll. There was nothing wrong with the bike. So after I did the install, I cleaned the exhaust. It's very normal that it smokes like that. And I'm like, huh. Because here's the thing, being on YouTube, another gem for you guys if you're on YouTube. I was very clean, cut and dry when it comes to YouTube when I first started. I'm like, my overall idea, I'm just going to focus on creating great content, or at least great videos, and tell good stories, show my city, and it's going to work. I was 1,000% wrong. That's not how YouTube works. You know, it's not about how amazing you are, how good you could tell a story, how good your camera work is. It's how you could play the system the best you can. And the funny thing is, it's really sad that I'm going to admit this right here. This year, just reinvigorating the channel, restarting it, and getting it a bump start. By the way, if you guys are watching, please... Oh, I didn't even do this. Give me a second. 1 second. If you guys are tuning in, definitely hit the thumbs up, man. If all of you guys are watching, I'm not asking for a lot. Thumbs up. That helps with the algorithm. You soon learn that... being, I can't say fair or honest, you have to be honest. It's just one of those things. But you find out YouTube, a lot of it has to do with gaming the system. You know, like me, when the minute I wrote Street Fighter V4S, I broke it or something like that, or something went wrong, and then they saw the video with the smoke. That video has millions of views now, I think, because people are just very excited to see negatives. They want to see you fail. They want to see something goes wrong, and it bothers me a little bit because we would be over dinner and I'm like, damn, this video that we produced, which was pretty good, and it's doing okay, fine, which I don't let it get to me anymore. I just kind of work. Once I've hit the upload button, it goes live, I can care less. I go to the next project. So it's like always outpacing, and then whatever falls into the gap of a hit, that's perfect, and then I could try to replicate that. And the video has so many views because of the fact that a brand new bike is smoking, and you should see the comments pretty just go, oh, it's a Ducati, or it's garbage, you know, it's, what did you expect? You bought this. It's like they didn't even watch the video. They just saw the photo, the thumbnail. They didn't see that, hey man, it was just an install. I just cleaned the exhaust. When you fire it up the very first time, it burns off the excess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yo, there's bikes and cars all the time passing outside. But yeah, it ended up doing really well. And it's one of those things you learn again with YouTube, which I'm doing a lot more of, and I'm not very proud of those tactics. Because like I said, I much rather be known for, hey, we do live stream, always great conversation, we enjoy come through and people chat back and forth. And you can see stuff like this, they don't always fall into space where they do very well, or you take they're slow burns, you know, it's like a marathon almost. But if you want to get the work done, and as you can see from the time that I started doing this, from this year for 2022, I've grown over like maybe 7,000 new subscribers, which I don't feel like that's very honorable. I much rather do it like in a way where, yo, I saw Mike, I liked his videos, let me share it. But I feel like that doesn't fully work. It's like you have to kind of trick people into it, or at least troll people into it, and it's just it kind of bothers me a little bit. But if you have to play the game, at least for now in the beginning.
I thought it was funny because, like I said, my initial reaction, you know, I know you just got it, and I sort of, you know, I said, holy moly, what went wrong? You know, and then I clicked on it and everything, and like you said at the end, you know, I did notice it was just the vapor, you know, and it was nothing major and things like that. It's not really, it's an area that I'm coming in, so I can't really say I know exactly, you know, more than me, what's work, what doesn't work, or whatnot, that aspect of things. But to me, one thing I would say is, at least when it comes to the people that watches a channel, I know one thing, it's kosher, in a sense that these are people that can relate to what they appreciate about motorcycles, regardless if it's, like I said, your daily riding, the stream and things like that, learning about other motor vloggers and things of that nature. There's something about it that is very, very, very kosher. Another thing to me, I think that maybe could have helped, is maybe you do collaboration with other people that tend to ride the same way you do as well, so that, because I noticed a lot of the guys that are picking up really quick is because they do those collaborations where everybody goes to one state and then they kind of vlog together, so it kind of picks up off each other's energy kind of thing. That's something I kind of did notice as well, because some of the guys that were coming up out of nowhere, I did notice they're really picking up way more steam. And I think because they're getting the exposure while they're actually on somebody else's vlog, so you kind of get to see who the person is and things of that nature. I thought when you went to Austin, that was a great trip. I think you did the one in Detroit, so that other people get to see you that probably would be clicking on more the fast-paced, running quick videos or whatnot, and then they get to see you. They're like, well, let me see what he does. And then, yeah, you don't ride fast like they do, but there's like, oh, but he works on his bike. Let me see what he does, and then kind of pick up different ideas of things that I can do with my bike, or, you know, things of that nature.
But you know, the thing is though, mine's a mix though. I feel like my channel is a mix, and I think I have to narrow down a couple of things. Because for example, I uploaded a video today. That one was just pretty much writing. It's like pretty fast writing, because I kind of mixed it up a little bit between all of it, because I don't want it to be one thing. Because I always fear that, hey, okay, if my channel blows up for a cop thing or this race thing, then I'm stuck doing that, and I just don't want it to be an all race channel. Also, I feel like that would put you in a space where you have to keep repeating the thing over and over again. And again, I'm always about that dice about rolling it. What do you want to do? Do you just roll that all the time? Or, you know, if it's just right, if it's just one of those days I'm out and it's like the road's open and I'm just like just enjoying it, that's different. Also, I find myself uploading some of the faster riding stuff just for myself. I keep those videos. I don't put them out. I've had some encounters where I've gotten like tickets, or where one time I had gotten my bike towed, and I've quickly realized, hey man, YouTube is great. I love riding motorcycles, and I love having my license also. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
One of my
that's the other
favorite.
thing.
You were in somewhere Bear Mountain and the cop pulled you over. You thought they were gonna let you go. That was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny. I'm not gonna lie, because the guy is acting like he's all nice and everything, but at the same time he's still hitting you that ticket. And
Yo, he hit us with a couple of tickets. Yo, it's all good, man. You know, live and learn and stuff. But you know, the channel's still young, man. I want to do certain things. I want to ride. I want to enjoy my bike, and I just, one of the biggest thing I think I have, one of my opportunities, that I don't want to do specific. Like I said to you before, this is gonna be like the first time I'm buying a bike for YouTube specifically.
Yeah.
I don't want to do things for certain things. I don't want to do this because I'm gonna get clout. If I'm doing something, it's out of my own pleasure. If I'm doing something, it's like, my goal is to have whoever's watching what I'm doing or intaking the content to find whatever I'm doing is interesting. Not just because I'm doing something reckless, or I punched a window or some wild shit. I want someone to be like, all right, cool. I could see this is something that's cool. And that's kind of tough because everyone is completely different from one another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think there's a age range, a group of people that can appreciate certain things. Even for example, with me doing the shorts recently, I never had anybody between the ages of 16 to maybe 18 watch my channel. This is brand new that I'm actually getting that crowd. So that's, and the funny thing is, it's good and bad. For some reason, I'm always in between space, right? The 16 to 18 or 16 to 23, 24 that they sub, they watch you come through, drop comments or whatever, they thumbs up or thumbs down. That's great, right? But, and that's a big but. Not a nice curvy one either, just a big one. but people in that age range, a lot of them are either school or kids, and they don't have a bankroll. So they don't really buy anything. You're just getting numbers. So on this level, while we're here, we're chatting, like I said, you're an adult. Some people that are watching are adults. They can actually, they do ride, they do support, they do buy, they do click the link. So it might not be big numbers on sub count, but then conversion with actual business is high. Yeah. So I see. It's a double-edged sword on my end.
I see. Yeah, that's great you said that, because I never really would have thought about that either, in terms of the demographic of the people that clicks in. But it's a good thing that you have a little bit of everything, because I think, to me, when it comes to the first generation of vloggers, I think that's what happened to them. They stuck to only one thing. And I think earlier when we were talking, you did mention the same thing too, that as that generation gets older, they're getting married, they have kids, a lot of these people no longer ride, or even if they do, they're probably not riding the same bikes, or, you know, they're probably, somebody went from a sport bike to a cruiser, or, you know, it's a bit different, you know, because as you start having a family and kids and things like that, I think even when you had the stream with 650, he did mention like he's probably going to stop doing the SmackDowns at one point because his kids are getting older. I think he mentioned something like that too on one of the streams, you know, so that's why I'm saying like these, and I think that's what happened to a lot of the first guys that were doing the vlogging and, you know, the YouTube thing, is those people, they grew up, you know, and then once they get to a certain age, now they have wife and kids, they have different priorities. But the fact that in your channel, not only you're open to everybody from the big guys, to people that are actually just starting, but also if you have different demographic of people that pays attention. So as one generation is probably exiting that stage of their life, you know, the younger ones, they still know exactly who's Clutch First, what you're about, what the channel is. I think to me, it's definitely with what you do, there's definitely a lot of potential. I hope a lot of people that the stream.
Oh my God. Sorry, my dog just freaked out. She ran to the back.
I hope a lot of people that watches the stream, the people that comes, the guests and everything, they definitely support it more too. Because I feel like at least right now we have one of our own that can actually get access to these things and definitely give us access to certain things or whatnot. Even for something as the guys that rise the GP races or whatnot. When they come, I think they come in America once a year, you know. So if those companies say, hey, you need to have an interview with them, then we get to see those interviews. Not we don't have to rely on a station that's, you know, in Europe or anything like that. So I think to me it's a positive thing, and it's very unique is the way I would say. Both on the writing side, the stream side, and the kind of guests that you have. Even for Lulu, like last week, I didn't know about his channel. He's all over there in Italy. You know, you're really giving exposure to a different crowd. You know, and you're keeping the culture. That's another thing too. That's very important because at one point it felt like motor vlogging was just dead. Suddenly you didn't see many people really doing it or whatnot. So for me, that actually grew up watching, you know, that on YouTube, and suddenly you're like, well, no, what happened to all these guys? And there wasn't really a new generation. Now you're seeing the fast indie, you know, some people that are getting into it, but for a minute there, it's like there was a kind of a void in many ways. And when you had Downshift 83 come in and he actually explained a lot of things behind it, it really made sense to me. It really did.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, a lot of people think that Downshift is new generation. He's not. He's been grinding for a long time.
Yeah, but I think he did mention that he took a break while he was away or something.
Well, he was in school, but he was grinding for a long. If you look some old gen videos of Chase and group rides with Do It Then, stuff like that, you would spot him there. He looks so different. He's not like built or anything like that, and which is really cool, and I think it's very inspiring, to be honest, because hence why I was gonna ask you this question: what's your top 3 moto vloggers? Because I actually shot a video like top 3 moto. Oh, why are you laughing, man? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, for me it definitely would be your channel, 650 Eve, and Fastlane Eve.
Oh shit! I made it in the top 3. Man, my name hasn't hit any waves for a hot minute. My top 3 channels, and maybe you don't know, but you got to check them out. I definitely put Eve there. Eve's one of them. This is by no order by any means. Eve, Fastlane D, and the Killer Cam. The Killer Cam. Killer Cam has a very unique take on moto vlogging, energy, performance, and being a great rider. And watching him really inspires you to either go out and ride or compete. I'm going to use the same word, compete. I'm not going to say for you to go shoot a video. Compete to create something as good or as entertaining. And you can tell that Killer Cam is a very good rider. If you look at the way he holds his handlebar when he's riding, you can tell he's close to pro or pro level rider.
Okay, I'll definitely check him out.
You gotta watch Killer Cam. He's nice with it. He's very versatile. He has an R1. He also has a naked bike, a naked Yamaha. Also, he's a Yamaha guy. So, really cool. When he rides, most of us hold handlebar like this, right? When the Killer Cam rides, he's like this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a pro riding position. If you track, so you go like this, throttling on, throttling off. He's always in that position. He's not turning like this and like that. That's a very amateur riding position, which can cause you know, whiskey throttle or anything like that. He's very smooth with it at an angle like an ice cream cone. And he's nice. He's nice with it. For the riding alone, you'd enjoy it. Wheelies, everything. So his thing is like a mixture of vlogging, performance, good energy. So definitely check him out. So for me, those are my top threes right now, and I think that's really, really dope.
I'll definitely check him out because to me, these are the three that I normally on a regular. You know, the minute the video comes in, poop, I get the notification. I'm like, oh, perfect. You know, and things like that. There's a few that I used to watch that they haven't posted in. I haven't seen anything from. What's his name? And I'm kind of have a brain freeze. Motonosity,
okay.
I haven't seen anything from him. Like, used to post more frequent as well. There's quite a few that I'm noticing either they don't post as often or they post, like doing with Dan. I kind of ran into him at the gym a few times here, but he's doing different kind of, you know, videos or whatnot. Not so much motorcycle after his last accident or whatnot. So yeah.
So let me ask you this question: if you were to speculate, why do you think some of these guys end up stepping out of the game, or at least disappear? So somebody like Do It With Dan is super popular, still have a lot of clout. Motornosity, same thing. Quite a few of these seasoned guys that were doing amazingly well disappeared. If you were just to speculate, what do you think made that happen, or why is that?
I think when they started, they were doing it for fun. Then I think at one point, motovlogging was paying pretty good, I believe, because I used to hear a lot of them say that. I don't know if that's true or not. But once the money got involved in it, then now it's more like, okay, I'm buying all this equipment, I'm spending all this time editing, and I'm not getting anything for it. And also, too, as they're getting older, they're starting to have way more responsibilities, whether towards themselves or family members, you know. And you, at one point, you're no longer in your early 20s in college, you know, you got to pay the bills. So you kind of evaluate it, which, if it's worth it, you know. I think if you just do it for fun, which is something that Sazan said a few days ago, that's why I ended up getting a GoPro, because I was overthinking this YouTube thing for too long, because I wanted to find something that was my niche. And he said, you know what, I realized I'm just out there. I already talk on my element anyways, so you know what I mean? So that's when I started like, why am I overthinking this? I think if you go about it like, yeah, it's more of a passion of yours, like just fun, and then certain things come out of it, then it's better than once you make it just business. I think that's what it is, because you're not riding for fun anymore. Everything is, you have a product you're selling. And I think that's what takes the fun out of it, or whatnot.
I think it's something I think everyone experienced at some point. So even including myself. So last week, for example, I was off for a couple of days. One of the days that I had, part of it, you know, I'm always working, either professionally, or I'm doing motivation stuff, or I'm doing YouTube videos or whatever. I took a day where I just didn't do anything. I just kind of rode and just kind of enjoyed my bike. I went to see my older brother. We just kind of chilled. And I was over dinner with Anna. I was like, man, I had the best day ever. Just, you know, not doing anything at all. I didn't look at my social media. I didn't look at my stats. I didn't look at anything whatsoever. And I tried not to even care about it. And it turned out to be a very good day. But I think what tends to happen also, a lot of people don't separate their personal writing from creating videos. So I think that a lot of us fall into the same trap. As you're shooting videos, you start building this mentality like, oh my God, if I'm not recording today, I'm gonna miss something amazing. And then that would have been the moment for me. So people start recording all the time, or constantly, you know, having some. For me, I go out. One of the best thing I tell people all the time: get yourself the controller. When you are having a concept, an idea in your head or whatever, you have cliff notes. Hit the button, do your idea, do your concept, hit it, you're done, enjoy your day. Like I try to do it like that, like clocking in for work, do my thing, and I'm done. Instead of having something rolling, and then you start chasing the dragon. You're looking for, oh my God, maybe there's a crash on the highway, or this person getting pulled over. I'm gonna capture. You know, you start looking for these small things because there's a lot of sensationalism that comes into. It's almost like anything negative. Like I posted the one video, the robbery one. It's like I've done so many other videos. I thought it was very interesting. That video's doing very well. It's like, oh my God, robbery. It's like I have to be posting something really negative or really bad in order for it to be substantiated by others, which is kind of weird.
But do you think it's because it was a negative video, or it was because of you and the other gentleman's reaction in the situation? That's why people kind of lean toward, because from afar we couldn't really see what's going on, and by the time you got there, the guy's scooter's on the ground, and then you know, the other gentleman was there, like, you know, kind of like make him feel like, hey, you know, it's not every one of us that acts that way, because you can tell he was angry. And probably friends could have ruined his perception of, you know, a certain group of people, because there was a group of them that attacked him. But the fact that he noticed like two others came in at his rescue, making sure he's fine, I think that's probably what got most people kind of, because for me at least, that's what I noticed. You know, even when you said you hate when people do that because you don't want us to have that negative connotation. I'm pretty sure there's quite a lot of us that can relate to that. You know, meaning we're not always the one that favored a crime life kind of thing. So I think that's probably what touched a lot of people as well.
Yeah, this was the weirdest thing, man. I've been living in New York all my life. I grew up here. I've never witnessed anything like this in broad daylight where, dude, I mean, the GoPro couldn't capture all of this, but they kicked both him and the passenger off the scooter, took it, and started, you know, going down the block, and then it was just wild, man. And it's like, for me, I never really get involved in stuff like this. It's one of those New York things. You mind your business, you go on your way. And it was one of those things like, you got to step in. And the funny thing is, most people in New York were just minding their business. Only myself and the other gentleman, I was like, listen, that's not going to go down, kind of thing.
Yes.
And, I mean, granted, other people did call the cops. They showed up within like 4 minutes. But it was really sad, man. It was such a weird situation on all. Like I mentioned in the video, it pissed me off that who did this, and it pissed me off that they were trying to take his motorcycle. Like, what if they tried to do that to me?
Dude, yeah.
You know what I mean? I could relate to this on so many levels, and I'm like, again, it's the same thing. And I know that cop, you know, to him, he couldn't say this. He could have been like, who? Can you give me a description of who did it? Well, I want to say the black kids. You know what I mean? Like, if he said it, it'd be a racially charged thing. But then it's very common. You know, I remember when I was like 18 or 19, I used to go downtown and do dumb shit. Like, the worst we would do is probably jump the turnstile to jump in the train to go to Brooklyn or to Manhattan or Queens or something like that. But nobody ever really stole anything or tried to, you know. We would probably, the least thing I would say we probably did was maybe tag our stupid names or something. But not to that degree, you know what I mean? It's just, this was pretty disgusting to me, and it pissed my whole night. Like, I had a whole setup. I'm like, I'm gonna do the bridge. I'm gonna go downtown and probably shoot Brooklyn Bridge or whatever. It threw me off so hard. I'm like, I'm just going home, because you know when something goes down, it's like the vibe change. I'm good. I just bounced out because that was just like pretty disgusting, man.
Yeah, no, and I related to what you said too. Because it's that negative connotation, that negative stigma that can easily be aligned to any one of us here because somebody else did something stupid. And like you said too, and the cop he kind of caught himself too, because he almost kind of came out when he's doing the description. He kind of stopped himself real quick, and he had to, like you said, because today it would have come up like that, and those are the times we're living in and everything. But I think the fact that the two of you, because everybody else, even though somebody called the cops, but nobody really got involved.
No, nobody's going to get involved. It's a New York thing.
Yeah, the two of you went there, and I think that made a big difference throughout the whole experience, because I can tell he was pissed off. Even him, at one point, he almost felt like he was going to say, yeah, these, but he kind of had to hold himself for not saying anything as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of messed up. Even the other guy that showed up there, because he lived in that neighborhood. That neighborhood, if you live there, you're making way above six figures, like, or you know, it's either penthouse or whatever. And him just coming in, just talking to the guys, like, this is not like the kind of thing that you see that happen in that area. It's not like your basic group of regular people that live there. So that was kind of messed up. And the guy, you could tell he came from work. He had his work bag, and he was giving his friend a ride. I'm like, man, this is like. I mean, do I blame this guy if he gets home? He's like, man, fuck these black people. Like, you know, you know what I mean? You could. I mean, let's be real here. Like, between you and I, like, could you be upset? Like, you know, if his experience is continuously being something crazy like that, you start building some biases towards. I mean, granted, we're not talking about bikes anymore here, but you know, that's how much that really bothered me, man. Because like I said, I've said this before. I work really hard, and I really carry myself a certain way, and I would hate for someone to think of me in that light. And people doing certain things like that really doesn't help people like me. Because in the end, you know, both you and I are talking. We're just two black people, man. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So. Overall, but whatever, man, it's all good. But granted, the video's doing well. Just to kind of backtrack that, is just, I feel like things like this always kind of pick up whenever it's very drama, very like something bad happening. You can see a theme of it. Like my last all my cop videos, they all have millions of views. My bike broke.
Yeah, those your reaction, because especially that one of the Bear Mountain, you thought the guy was gonna let you go. You really. You really thought he was gonna let you go.
I was naive, man. I was like, man, I'm gonna be nice to this guy. He's gonna let me go. It's gonna be all good. But it's all right, man. Live and learn, and I don't take it personal. And they were doing their job. So granted, the funny thing is, I didn't even notice that I got pulled over. Like I thought my friend was just kind of stopping to check his mirrors, because usually in those roads, if you don't stop, they can't even catch you because it's so windy. The cars can't keep up with any bikes. So I stopped because he stopped. And then I looked back. I was like, oh, crap. So it's all good. All good, man. Live and learn. Live and learn. But that's all good, man.
It was fun. To me, the reason I knew for sure you were going to get a ticket, because they were on the opposite lane. So they made a U-turn. For them to go to all that trouble, there's no way they were going to tell you, yeah, I think you need to put more hair in your tires. You know, have a nice day, sir. You're going to get a ticket for sure. You know, if they're already behind you, I would have said, yeah, they probably just want to make sure where you guys are going. But the fact that they made a U-turn, and I saw you talking to the guy, I'm like, oh, you're going to get, one of you guys is going to get ticketed for sure. I don't care. I said, for sure. Then fair enough. And then you're like, wait, you're really going to? Yeah, and I'm like cracking up. And it's one of those things, you find it funny because it's not you. But I'm sure if it was me in there, I would have been pissed off, you know? It's one of those things. I'm like, because I'm looking at your facial expression and everything, and I'm like, oh, you really thought you was going to get away with this?
Yeah, man. I thought it was going to be good, man. It's fine. I've gotten another ticket with my wife. I remember meeting with a friend of mine. He has a Hypermotard 1100, and when we come from our home in the suburb to go to the city, and when we drive, it's like maybe 45 minutes maybe. When we go through the night and we ride the bikes, we're like 20 minutes in the city, man. Oh my god, I was riding and it's like we were just going so hard to the Southern State, and I got pulled over, man. This guy gave me like the meanest tickets, man. It was I've gotten a lot of tickets, man, and I'm like, listen, man, I'm gonna tone this down because this is not. And the thing is, when you get them, whatever, the younger you are, it's like I'm just gonna pay it, whatever, be done. But it's like you're like, I could do a lot more with this money instead of paying expensive speeding tickets or whatever, man, or at least getting an attorney or whatever, and then have them bump it down. And it's like you find out you're getting jerked around. One, you get a speeding ticket, you get your attorney. You show up to court with your attorney, he goes and be like, sit here. I've gotten this done to me, and I've seen it. And I'm like, I felt like a sucker. This is why I kind of changed my mind a little bit, right? I go to court. My attorney's like, man, this is serious, blah, blah, blah. You know, we'll try to figure out you going over 100, blah, blah, blah. You can take your life. I'm sitting there sweating bricks. I'm all dressed up all nice. I'm like, man, they're going to see a nice young man. They're going to be like, it's all good. You can go. Yo, my attorney's like, wait here. I'll be right back. Took my paperwork. He goes to the bench, talks to the judge, and I'm overhearing, oh, how was, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, when you would play golf last week. He comes back to me. He's like, you just paid this amount. We're good. I'm like, did I just get played right now? These guys know one another. They didn't even talk about the ticket. Yeah. And I realized, wow, this is a hustle. I'm not doing this anymore. This is crazy to me. You know, he asked him about his wife. Did they play golf last week? Blah, blah, blah. I'll see you in the course. And this is the judge talking to the lawyer. And I'm like, yeah. I have the donkey photo in my head. Like, man, I just paid this amount of money to the lawyer. And I still have to pay to it. He bumped it down to like a parking ticket for like $50. I'm like, I just got jacked.
Oh, wow. So they still made you pay for, okay. Florida was different.
No. You don't pay. You don't get no points. You know, when I got pulled over, one guy I got pulled over. He tried to give me like 7 points.
Holy moly!
Yeah, I got pulled over, and the guy tried to give me another 3 points. And then I have same lawyer, show up to court, see the judge, blah, blah, come in the morning. He's like, just sit down. He goes talk to the judge. He's like, man, it's a parking ticket, man, $60, and my amount that's retaining. That's it. You just get hustle, and it's like, man, forget about this, man. I'm just gonna. So now you have two options: either you don't stop, or which I don't suggest. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, that one at all.
Or
oh man, I pulled one of those when I was very young, and that's when I know prison is not for me. Because the whole day. The whole day, every time I saw a cop car, I was literally like, because I thought, oh, they found me, you know, like, so I never, ever, it's not worth it. I'd rather pay the $200, whatever it is. And it wasn't such a fun experience. It felt great when I ran from him, but for the entire day, every time I saw a police officer pull, because I used to work at the time for Enterprise, so they used to have a little location inside of a Chevy dealership. Mm-hmm. And guess what? That's where all the state troopers used to service their cars. So they used to pull in one after another. And every time that one of them pulled up, I said, oh, man.
He found me.
Yeah, so it wasn't a great experience. Ever since then, I'm like, no, it's not worth it. And also, too, in Florida, when you see the lawyer, normally they dismiss the ticket. You don't pay anything. You pay the $75 to the lawyer. They like same thing you said. They go on the bench. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I need you to take care of this one for me. And then boom, and what happened? You're fine. And I was like, man, this is like exactly the same reaction you had. I'm thinking it's gonna be complicated. You know, it's gonna be like what's that Tom Cruise movie? Where's the lawyer? You know, like some big scene.
Yeah. Well, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like, there's some point, man. I'm with the lawyer. He's like, man, you could lose your license for this. I'm imagining me never riding a bike again. Now I got to do a car service when I got to go to the office. I'm like, man, you start envisioning all the stuff. Meanwhile, it's just like a whole.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, it's like you getting jacked and don't even really realize it because you're so busy like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to go to jail or anything like that. I just got to pay $200. That's great. And then now you're sitting down like, man, I got played. This was just I got played the entire time. That's what ends up happening. So whatever, man. It's all good. It's all good.
I totally agree with you. But I think, at least let me not jinx myself. For me, it's been a while, but I think it has to do with the fact that I don't ride as aggressive as I used to. There's something about once I get to that triple digit that I just tone it down automatically and things. Even on Monday, I was supposed to go to the racetrack, but I had something from work I couldn't really cancel, and I think that's when I'm really gonna push it. But on the road, it just changed me a lot, a whole lot. That little accident right there.
Yeah, there's one thing I have to touch base on before we get out of here. I have to. So there's this thing that I've like noticed a lot, and these are a couple of things. By the way, if anybody's gonna make a video on this, you could, because I'm gonna make a video on it too. Anybody that rides a motorcycle, whenever they see somebody that doesn't wear gear, it's such a big deal. I don't understand why is it such a big deal to everyone else. What that person, I'm not advocating for you to ride the way you want, or like no jacket or no gear, whatever. I wear gear. I always wear all my gear. Even when it's hot, I don't really care. But I always thought to myself, I always see so many videos, this guy's a squid, or what does it matter to you? If he knows his own risk, if he makes that choice, he has to deal with the consequences. Hence, that's how life works. But why does most riders feel like it's their business to freak out on the next person, or at least make a whole video of this, blah, blah. I'm just curious your thoughts on this. I actually making a whole video on it, because I really can give a shit less if someone is riding their motorcycle naked. It's not my risk, it's not my ass, so it doesn't impact me. So, you know, I don't take any of it personal.
I agree with you, because I remember at one point they call you squid, they all kind of name and stuff. I normally don't watch those videos that much, but I do agree with you in the sense that whenever I see another rider, especially if they're riding sport bikes versus a cruiser and they have nothing, it's almost kind of like when I look at them, I feel myself in them, like going down and the road rash and everything. It's almost kind of like it's that pain that I feel for them. I'm not gonna yell at them, but I kind of like, man, come on, even if it's hot, deal with it. Especially for me, for example, I used to ride without if I knew it's close to my house, without the helmet. And then when they had that wreck, I had my helmet. If I didn't have my helmet, I wouldn't be here today. So that also changed my perspective of things. So nowadays, I don't care if it's 100 degrees and I'm sweating. I rather have a t-shirt to ride in a t-shirt when I get to the office and change. But I'm wearing that jacket, because I just remember exactly what happened. And more often than not, to me, when I see somebody without gear, it's that road rash kind of, I'm like, God, this is painful stuff. It's that feeling that I kind of see myself in them. I'm like, God, like, please just wear something. You know, something is better than nothing. Or somebody wears shorts and sandals. I'm like, are you insane? You're gonna lose your foot, like, you know, and things like that. Wear boots. I think it's because I see myself in them, but I don't get angry. I don't walk up to them and say anything, but it kind of gives me a certain frustration, almost like I can see me in them. And I'm kind of like, God, I wish I was close enough to this person to say, hey, at least wear jeans, wear something, you know, and things like that. So, but doing a video about it, I think that's taking it to another extreme. Because if you want somebody to change their habit, it's better you make a video the advantages of wearing gear versus attacking the person, because then they get more defensive. Even if you're right, it's very unlikely that person's going to listen to you, just to prove they don't really need to have this conversation.
You know what's interesting, and again, I always talk about this, and I always think it's really cool about the stream. Us having this conversation, and again, I came in pretty hot regarding this exact comment I just made, and you just set me on a whole different perspective on it. I never really thought about it that way, and I'm glad you mentioned, like, you seeing yourself, the potential, the hurt that you would feel if it was you. I never thought. I always think, like, man, it's this guy's problem, and you know what I mean. And it's great that you share that thought process. Now I'm like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But then again, in that same vein, I think people that does YouTube, they use it as an opportunity to make it like a big thing, like a content. So that's why they're probably barking at the person. But yeah, I never even thought about it yet. It's like feeling cringy because, like, oh my God, I know what it feels like, what happened if you fall, and you feeling the pain for them. So I never thought about that. But yeah.
Yeah. But if they're going to make a video, it's better to make a positive video than negative. Because if you're attacking them, then they're just not going to listen to you. So pretty much you did something to get views, but it wasn't productive whatsoever. You know, at least that's the only thing I would say to them in many ways. if you're attacking someone, it's no longer a conversation. It's more of you're attacking me, now I gotta say something back. Versus somebody says, hey, you know, this is what happened to me once. You know, we're brothers and sisters out there on the road. You know, we deal with the same thing. You know, please do your best and, you know, put something, you know, what they say, what do they name bikers at the hospital? Organ donors.
Oh my God.
So you remind the person of these things. You know, every time you're out there, there's a risk, regardless if it's your fault or the other person. So you try to minimize the risk as much as you can.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I agree. I agree. Man, thank you so much for tuning in, man. You've been here all night.
No, this has been really fun. Normally I'm on this, you know, the one listening and watching and, you know, laughing and texting and everything. So it's funny now I'm the other side and everything. And I think I might even watch it afterward just to kind of go to the comments and stuff.
Oh, you totally should. That's gonna be hilarious, man. So what do you think of the stream? Might as well ask you while we're here, man. I know often we bring people on and they get like nervous and stuff like that. This would felt like a real like on the stoop conversation or just chilling conversation. It's very much like Sasong's convo, which I really like as well, man. I genuinely love doing this, just like talking to you guys and just like really sharing the overall idea of writing and stuff like that. By the way, anybody that hasn't watched some of the older streams, like for example, you mentioned the one with the girls. I always think those don't do extremely well because I think people tend to think that it's just like, oh, he's trying to get views because of the girls. But their approach and point of view of this is very good. And also even Red Spade gave some great advice for sponsorships. Who else? I had a couple of, how do you call it? Stella was pretty good about just being a street writer and stuff. They all have very unique perspective and stuff. So very, very cool.
Yeah, and also too, it's to me at least out of it, one of the things I appreciate the most is that to make them feel welcome, because often in that they always feel like this is more of a men's thing. Because I think even she said her experience like when at the beginning when she went to some, I don't remember if it was Kawasaki or Yamaha, they flew her somewhere for a review, and she felt like, you know, almost like she didn't. I don't want to put words in her, but almost felt like she didn't feel like she belonged there, or people felt like she didn't belong there or something. So when guys are reaching out to them, I think that would also make them feel a bit more welcome, that we do not see things like that. Again, out there, we're all writers. We just enjoy having those conversations with people that kind of share the same passions and stuff. And, you know, at least to me, that's what I kind of took from it. And with Stella, again, she was, like you said, she was nervous. You know, she was like, oh, you're going to ask me mechanical stuff. I don't.
She did say that.
Yeah, you know, and things like that. So to see her reaction to it, and then when you kind of took the conversation, you know, somewhere else, I could see a certain relief, you know, on her face and everything. So again, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a positive thing. And even with the guys like us watching the stream as well too, you know, everybody's respectful, you know, and that stigma that people are gonna catcall, all that stuff. Nobody did none of that thing too. So it kind of to give them a different perspective of what the norm is out there, you know, in regards to things and stuff, and said, no, we're just about people that love to ride, and we show support to whomever it is, as long as, you know, we share the same passion, pretty much. At least for me, that's what I took from it, in many ways.
I'll give you guys a serious gem. I hooked up with Stella and oh my God, I'm just drawing a blank. Sweetie, what's her name? Francesca. I hooked up with Francesca and Stella. Very cute. Very, very cute in real life. I'm just telling you guys right now. So I don't think even the stream does it even justice, because we went out riding and stuff like that. We just kind of hung out and just chill and stuff. But very good looking ladies. I got to tell you guys that for 100% sure.
So she's definitely passionate. I've seen her channel too, and she looks for any excuse to get on that bike. You know, she loves that thing. I think to me, she's more passionate about it than me sometimes, because she looks for every reason to get. Even when she messed up her arm, she still had the thing, and she was still riding. And I'm like, geez, This girl doesn't know when to just time out or nothing.
She goes out in the rain or in the snow. I've seen her riding in the snow, and I'm like, "What are you doing, Stella?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No." So whatever works, man.
Brad Spade and Laura as well. Every time they go up there, they're coming back. It's always pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, if I look at the weather and it looks, you know, I'm like, maybe not today. These girls here, they're like, no,
Not today, Satan. Yo, let me take a look at the guys. By the way, if you guys are tuned in, if you want to drop any comments and stuff like that, questions, you could leave it in the live chat or in the comment section, and we'll reply. I'm just think we're gonna wrap it up. It has been like 2 hours. I think it's only fair that we kind of wrap things up. To be honest, I'm actually having a really good time, and to tell you guys the truth, every one of these streams, there's a slight level of me saying, I don't know if I'm gonna do it today. And then as soon as I hit go and it goes live and then things starts flowing, it's like, it's a relief. So it's actually really, really good, man. So the more you guys tune in, the more you show up, I'll always continue doing it. And for me personally, whether it's 5, 10, 30, 40, 100 people here, it's still always going to be the same energy, same entertainment. So I appreciate you guys. That's just to say that. Let me just kind of pull up a couple of comments here real quick. And if you guys have any questions, you could definitely throw them up. Now would be the time. And both of us will reply to them. Let me just see if there are any. There's just been general conversation. So I've been reading in them as the night has been going. So I'll just kind of quickly take a quick look, guys. Let's see here. Tenzin Chucklen. Oh, if you're tuned in, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up. Do you go to group rides in New York City? I actually used to host a couple of group rides in New York City. Slowly kind of fizzled out a little bit because it just requires a lot of work and time. I ended up finding that when I do host a group ride, I'm not having a lot of fun because I'm being pretty much a big nanny. And they're slowly going to be coming back. I'm going to be doing small group rides between 3 to 5 people, just going to like one little destination. So I'll be doing a lot more of that. I've got a couple of Instagram invites and stuff to kind of host small stuff. So that's probably going to be happening for sure. Thank you for asking. Let me see. Covert Mecca. That's a cool name. This guy got a really cool icon. I really like that a lot. He was in the last stream. I actually follow him on Instagram now too. I'm out there in the rain. Get some Michelin Road 6s. All the grip you could want. That's a pretty good advice, man. But I can't really do the rain, man. What do you say, Solo Rider?
Yeah, the only way I get stuck in the rain is if the weather predictions were not, you know, because that's the best job in the world. They get paid to be wrong. Nobody gets fired. When they say 10%, that's when it rains. When they say 90, nothing happens normally. So the only way for me to be caught in the rain is if the weather condition in that morning states it wasn't going to rain, and then suddenly it did, and I'm already out. Other than that, I try to avoid it. Not tire thing. It's just like the oils from the road. There's so many factors, you know, that can go wrong. So for me, it's if I was getting paid millions of dollars to do it, I would. But since it's a matter of for fun, yeah, I tend to stay away from it. So,
you know, for me, like I said a little bit earlier in the stream, I like when the weather's nice, the sun is out, not like ridiculously hot, but it's like a combination of everything that feels good for me to be out there. So that's just me. If I know it's raining rarely, and if I get caught in the rain, usually I just park the bike and either go get lunch or get something and see if I could wait it out. I just don't want to have to worry about it. This is me, and I get like all wet. My shoes are soaked. It's not even pleasant anymore at this point. It's just I'm just going from A to B to get to home to take off my clothes, kind of thing. It just gets muddy for me.
I agree.
Yeah. Futuristic Viper mentions here. I ain't gonna lie. I was tempted to watch that robbery video. I haven't yet because I thought it was clickbait. It's not clickbait. You should watch it and you should hit the thumbs up. That's the way you support the channel. Just know that I wouldn't lead you down a rabbit hole of garbage. It's still a good story. Let's see what else I got here. Covert Mecha mentioned here, I was watching Psycho Cruiser in high school. Arguably, he's one of the reason I even got a bike. So the thing is with Psycho Cruiser, not a lot of people are a fan of Psycho Cruiser, but I think it's fine. The guy don't bother me. He has his own personality. You know, he does his own thing. He's not bothering anyone. He's not begging anyone for anything. So he does his thing. I could respect anybody's hustle. So, yeah. I don't know if you have you ever heard of Psycho Cruiser? Solo rider? No.
No, never heard of him.
There you go. It's an opportunity. You could probably see who he is. But he has a little bit. He has a lot of. I'm just trying to think of ways of putting him. He's very like animated, like subscribe today. It's, you know, it's very like yeah, it's like that. But you know, that's him. You know, it doesn't bother me, man. Let's see here. I'm just trying to see if there's any quick spot here. Tenzin Chocolin mentioned here. Do anyone own Duck here? I'm assuming probably a Ducati, right? If so, do you feel like you are addicted to that twin sound? Well, that characteristic is what get most people to like Ducati, to be honest. I mean, I could speak to that personally, so.
That's what got me too now.
Yeah. So it's pretty special sounding bike. So, sorry, it's a pretty special sounding bike, and I think it tends to get most people.
Especially the hyper, like when you're downshifting, that thing sound like you have a Uzi just, you know.
that downshift was nice. Sasong here mentioned, he replied to Tenzin here. It's the issue of the unknown. People compare the Ducati to like a Lambo where you can't work on them. You have to bring it in for just an oil change. Again, it's a matter of knowing, really. I do a lot of videos where you could work on your own bike. Granted, sometimes it requires some specialty tools, which I tend to tell people and at least give them guidance where they could get it. But it's not as difficult as people are thinking. The one thing that the misconception about Ducatis, and people tend to never really narrow down that answer or exactly why it's a little bit more expensive. So they're using the bevel system. So their valve adjustments, they're not using spring valve. It's a bevel system that continuously control how the pistons are being moved. They don't go out of whack. There's no floating valves. So it's something very unique, and hence why their bikes are really fast. It has that unique sounds, and there's no floating. But those require specialty valve adjustment, and it's a little bit more frequent. But current Ducatis are actually moving the needle more towards Japanese inline four bikes. We're talking about 18,000 miles before you have to do those. 18 to 20,000. That's almost Japanese level of service. Yes, those services do require a little bit more money. You're talking about anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 based on the city you live in, the taxes, or the hourly wages they charge at that dealership. As for everything else, oil change, tires, those are all normal things. They're not as bad as everything else. So heads up. If you walk away from anything from this, at least you know that about Ducati. Oh, another thing. Parts might take a bit for you to get coming from Italy, but we had another guest on, Falou, from last Sunday. He lives in Italy. He could, if you watch that stream, you'll get a little bit more information regarding parts and how it works in Italy and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Let's see what else do I got here. Oh, we had Nizoni was here. Just wanted to say hi to her real quick. I haven't seen her in a little bit. She rides a cruiser. What's up, Nizoni? No, it's all good. No worries about being late. You could always watch later, and as long as you hit the thumbs up, I'm all good with that. Let's see what else we got before we wrap up. I won't keep it too long, guys. Jock in a Box was here, which is really nice. He's been on the stream as well. He's just fresh to YouTube, and you know, he got an opportunity to come and talk about himself in the channel, so that's always great. So you have to use that dry clutch sound. Still can't. He's not a. Oh, you have to get used to that dry. I read that really weird. Sorry. You have to get used to that dry clutch sound. Still can't get used to it. So I rode a dry clutch Street Fighter V4 SP while I was out in Detroit. It's very unique. It's tough, man. Either you like it or you don't like it. Just know when you're on the motorcycle, you do not hear it. It's only from the outside you hear it. When the clutch is actuated, you don't really hear it. It's kind of cool. It's cool, but you have to kind of like that sound. It's very unique, but there are some pros to it. It's not just about sound. You run cleaner engine because the oil is not being mixed into the clutch plates. So all the dirt from the clutch plates, the shaving, they're not in the engine. You also run a cooler temperature on the engine oil also. So there are some pros to it, by the way. So it's not about just the sound. So there's a little bit of coolness about it. Also, if you're doing a lot of track days, if you're racing the bike as well, you want to change your clutch plates on a whim very, very quickly to do that. So there's a couple of pros to that as well. A lot of people tend to not talk about. Stephen Turner mentioned here he had an accident in 19 degrees when I had my worst accident. Yeah, man, I don't go out there in the cold, and I think most people would share that sentiment. Cold tires could be one hell of a ride, and you risking your motorcycle for just a couple of days and be like, oh yeah, I rode, that's kind of foolish. Mike's in the building also. He was tuned in. What's up? Glad you tuned in. Tuil Twansy.
That's yeah, it's from North Carolina.
Oh, that's awesome. There you go.
You should definitely have him on the stream too. Really cool guy. He's just started too as well.
Okay. Tell him, shoot me a message, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll look him up, and then we'll schedule something, and definitely have him on. Anything you want to wrap up here before we go? I don't want to keep you here all night.
Oh, for me, I could do this all night. This was fun, man.
Listen, man, I will take it. Here, I'll give you the floor.
Sure. Definitely want to thank you for having me. I thank everybody for coming in tonight. As always, it was a great stream. If you guys want to follow me and find out more about the future content, I'm on Instagram, solo_rider_82. And same for YouTube. I just got my GoPro, so stuff will be coming out more often. And actually, I got to give it to Mike and Sazon for motivating me to kind of go the YouTube route and everything. And looking for a future stream and, getting to know more guests and everything. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, the pleasure was all mine, man. Glad you could watch and experience, at least hear people's stories and get into it. And remember, have fun on YouTube. Don't worry too much about it. This is the opportunity to kind of try everything else out, man. Just have a good time, really. I think you're gonna find it very fun, and you're gonna start meeting a lot of people, and you can't beat it, really. Just don't allow it to overtake everything. I think it's one thing that a lot of people don't tell you, or at least warn you about. Just have fun.
Thanks.
All right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate all of you guys that tune in tonight, whether you're watching this a little bit later. If you could hit the thumbs up for me, that's always appreciated. If you have any comments, you could drop it in the comment section, and I'll reply. If I get an opportunity, if you say I don't, you want to message me, that's fine as well. Hopefully, I kept the energy the same through the night. It's been 2 hours, man, but thank you to everybody that comes through. I'll see you next Sunday. Again, you want to support this, you want to support the streams, you want to support the channel, the links to shop for motivation and Hard Knocks Coffee's in the description. Definitely hit those links. I'll catch you guys a little bit later. Peace.
Man, that was fun.
That was awesome.